Ryan could feel the beast inside him straining against its cage, claws scraping against the fragile walls of his control. Every moment that passed with Mai near him made it harder to maintain the iron grip he had on his wolf. The primal urge to claim her, to make her his, surging with a force that left him on edge. He'd always prided himself on his ability to lead, control his instincts, and keep his emotions in check. But with Mai back in his life, every one of those carefully built walls was starting to crack. The tension between them was a living thing, coiled tight and ready to snap. It simmered beneath every word they exchanged, every glance that lingered just a little too long. He could see the uncertainty in her eyes, the wariness that had settled in after years of pain and betrayal. And yet, beneath that, there was something else, something that called to his wolf with a need that was impossible to ignore. But the more he tried to protect her, the more she resisted. She pushed back against his efforts, refusing to be caged, refusing to acknowledge the bond that still pulsed between them like a live wire. And the harder she fought, the harder it became for Ryan to keep his wolf at bay. It was late, the moon high and full in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the pack's territory. Ryan had insisted on escorting Mai back to her temporary quarters, despite her protests, and now they stood outside the small cabin, the air thick with unspoken tension. "You can't keep doing this," Mai said, her voice tight with frustration. "I don't need you hovering over me like some kind of bodyguard, Ryan." "I'm not a helpless damsel in distress." Ryan clenched his jaw, his fists curling at his sides as he fought to keep his temper in check. "I'm not going to let anything happen to you," he ground out, his voice low and rough. "You're safer with me close by." "Safer?" Mai's eyes flashed with anger, her hands balled into fists at her sides. "You think this is about safety?" "This is about control, Ryan. You're trying to control me, just like everyone else in my life has tried to do. I won't let you." Ryan's wolf snarled inside him, bristling at the challenge in her words. His vision blurred at the edges as the beast clawed at him, demanding to be let out, demanding that he take what was his. But he forced it back down, his teeth grinding together as he struggled to maintain his hold. "It's not about control," he snapped, his voice coming out harsher than he intended. "It's about protecting what's mine." The moment the words left his mouth, he knew he had made a mistake. Mai's eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face before it was replaced by a cold, angry mask. "Yours," she repeated, her voice trembling slightly, though whether from anger or something else he couldn't tell. "You lost that right the moment you rejected me, Ryan." Her words sliced through him like a blade, each syllable cutting deep into the part of him that still remembered the look on her face the day he'd turned her away. He had done it to protect her, or at least that's what he had told himself, but now, standing here with her fury and pain staring him down, the justification sounded hollow even in his own mind. "I know," he said finally, his voice rough with regret. "And I'll live with that for the rest of my life. But it doesn't change the fact that you're still my mate. That bond doesn't just disappear because I made a mistake." Mai shook her head, tears glinting in her eyes even as she fought to keep them from falling. "You don't get to call it a mistake. You broke me, Ryan. You left me to pick up the pieces of a bond I didn't ask for. And now you want to act like none of it happened?" He took a step closer, his heart twisting painfully at the sight of her tears. "I never wanted to hurt you, Mai. Everything I did because I thought it would keep you safe." "Safe?" she whispered bitterly. "You think breaking someone's heart keeps them safe? You think abandoning them, humiliating them in front of the entire pack, is protection?" Ryan flinched at her words, guilt washing over him in a suffocating wave. There was no defense, no excuse that could erase what he had done. But he couldn't walk away again. Not now. "I can't change the past," he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I can protect you now. If you just let me." "I don't need your protection," she interrupted sharply, stepping back as if the very air between them burned. "What I need is space. What I need is to remember who I am without you constantly reminding me of what I lost." Ryan's chest tightened painfully, but he forced himself to nod. "If that's what you want," he said hoarsely, though every part of him screamed to do the opposite. Mai turned away, her shoulders trembling slightly as she reached for the door. But just before she could step inside, she paused. "You can't fix this, Ryan," she said softly, not turning to face him. "Some things aren't meant to be put back together." The door closed with a soft click, leaving Ryan standing alone in the moonlight, the weight of his own choices pressing down on him like a mountain. He stood there for a long time, staring at the door as if willing her to come back out, to tell him that it wasn't too late. But she didn't. And as the night stretched on, he realized that the pain of rejection he had once caused her had finally come full circle. Mai leaned against the closed door, her chest heaving as she tried to steady her breathing. The confrontation had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. Seeing Ryan again, hearing his voice, feeling that old bond pulse like an open wound, had cracked something inside her that she thought she had sealed long ago. She pressed her palms to her face, trying to quiet the storm of emotions. The rational part of her knew she should stay away. But another part, the part that still remembered the warmth of his touch and the sound of his laugh, whispered that maybe, just maybe, he still cared. "No," she murmured to herself. "Don't go there again." She couldn't afford to. The pack's politics were already complicated, and her return had stirred more than just old memories. The whispers had started. Rumors of discontent, of someone challenging Ryan's leadership. And if there was one thing she knew about wolves, it was that a weak alpha invited danger. Mai sighed, moving to the window. Outside, the moon hung low, its silvery light casting shadows across the courtyard. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled, a long, mournful sound that sent shivers down her spine. For a heartbeat, she thought it might be him. Ryan stood on the training grounds, his muscles tense, eyes fixed on the forest beyond. The conversation with Mai played over in his head, on an endless loop. Every word she had spoken echoed with truth and pain. He clenched his fists, anger burning, not at her, but at himself. He had lost her once out of fear. He wouldn't let that happen again. Not when danger lurked so close.
"Alpha!" A voice called from behind. It was Jace, his beta, expression grim. "We've got a problem." Patrols picked up movement near the northern border. "Smells like rogues." Ryan's eyes darkened. "How many?" "Too many for a coincidence," Jace replied, "and they were asking about Mai." The air seemed to freeze. Ryan's wolf surged.
As the night deepened and the moon bathed the packlands in silver light, one truth became clear. The past had returned, and its shadows were far from done with them. Ryan's wolf was stirring. Mai's heart was torn. And somewhere in the dark, danger was waiting. What did you think of this chapter? Do you believe Ryan can truly protect Mai? Or will the ghosts of their past destroy them both before the rogues even strike? Tell me your thoughts in the comments.